bringing you the latest news from Monterey Athletics. This is the Plainsman Fan Zone podcast from 100.7 The Score.
Welcome back to a very cool segment of the high school fan zone on the first Monday in March, because on this first Monday in March, I can say that Monterey's girls basketball team is the 2025 state champion, Class 5A Division II. Jill Schneider's with me, and her longtime sidekick, the young Carol, who every time I heard your name for years, it was Carol Sessoms.
Right, it's Foster.
Carol Sessoms Foster now. How's that sound, Jill, to be Victor Gomez gave you a little cheer when you came in. You're a state champion coach after 27 years at Monterey and a lot of years at Borger before that.
It's kind of surreal. You know, I was telling my friends that I went home, got home Saturday, and I was looking at my dogs going, we won state. You know, and I was practicing on them, and it sounded weird every time I said it.
Carol, you were her sidekick. You told me wait a minute. You told me, I saw on Facebook you were getting teary-eyed.
I know.
No tears on the high school fan zone. Well, I'll get you water if you promise no tears. What was it like for you to be sitting in the stands in San Antonio? You've been with this lady for a long time. What was that like for you?
A long time. I was telling Jill last night that at a minute and something left, people are like, when are the tears coming? And I said, I don't know. I'm so excited. And then Aaliyah came out.
Yes.
And I saw Jill hug Aaliyah, and I saw the emotion from Aaliyah. And then I went, oh, here they are.
I just wrote a column about that today. I've seen Aaliyah for 4 years. That surprised me as much as anything else, but it makes sense. She realized that she's about to turn the page, and that she just took, because we talked about it at the post-game press conference, that was a 4-year process. And it would have been great for you guys to win 4 in a row, but sometimes having to build towards that makes it that much sweeter.
Yeah, it was definitely a process. You know, we were talking about how I was visiting with Sonny about this. We actually had all the pieces in place 2 years ago. We had a bigger team just with, different personnel, and just couldn't make it happen. And this team just put it together at the right time. I'm just so proud of them. They played so well Saturday. I just think back on it, and I still can't believe what I was watching.
I meant to mention this to you Saturday before I got out of there. You're right. 2 years ago, you probably were a more talented team, but some of that talent hadn't aged yet. This year, I thought this was the best team of the 4 with Aaliyah, because of the chemistry, because of how she embraced that she needed all of them as much as they needed her, and you guys just put it together. And
I just think that we had the 6 seniors, and they were all invested, and they were all very close, and they were all on the same page. And I just feel like, I don't know. It's just always maybe the more unlikely scenario that works out, because this team got better as the year went on, but we improved so much over the course of the last 2.5, 3 weeks. I mean, we really changed a lot and evolved in terms of the output in our scoring. I was thinking this time, well, not this time last year, but the game we ended on last year against Emerald High, Leah had 50 points and the rest of our team had 18. And then this year in the state championship game, Aaliyah had 19 points and the rest of our team had, 45?
Mm-hmm.
So it's an incredible change.
And I'll go back to the state semifinal game. She didn't blow up in that game either, but you had, I think, 4, besides Ambrosia. I mentioned that to Tony Wagner, the other legend. She's going to smack me if I call her legend here too often. The other basketball coaching legend in Lubbock, that you guys in that game, Ambrosia's going to score her points. Already didn't score that much, but impacted. But you had, I think, 4 or 5 girls that had 4 to 6 points. That's hard to stop.
Yeah, and when we had Chloe Cerna, Jasmine Holloway, and Zanaya Wilkerson all had 6 points in the first half.
Yes,
they contributed 18 points in the first half, and those are points that they were just icing on the cake kind of points. So they're not expected. That's not something that normally happens, but I just feel like that was part of the evolution of this team, is getting that kind of contribution from a variety of people. Shamari Wilkerson had 8 points, 2 threes and a 2 in the championship game. It's just incredible how our players just found a way to kind of mesh at the right time.
not only did she have 8 points, I thought it was big that she scored your first bucket because all of a sudden Liberty Hill had to start saying, hey, that we know about those two. What are we going to do with this?
Who's that?
Before we're coming up on a break shortly, this is probably more for a Carol question because I think you were somewhat contemporaries with Tony Wagner.
Oh, yes, at Wayland.
At Wayland.
Yes, sir.
How cool is it for you two you're sitting here talking about a state championship. Wag's got a team playing in the state semifinals tomorrow. He's got a big challenge. He's got to play the number one team in the state, but LISD's got two teams that have played in the state semifinals in the same season.
I think it's incredible. I hope they win so bad. I would love to have a girls' state champion and a boys' state champion in basketball from LISD. I just think it would be tremendous.
So you played at Wayland about the same time?
Yes, sir. We were the same age, and I'm with Jill. I think anytime Lubbock can be represented, especially boy and girl, it's going to be amazing for just the city of Lubbock. So
22 years together. She's much younger than us, Jill. How did you guys?
Much.
You obviously the Wayland connection's there, and she played for a guy that you knew pretty well in high school.
Steve Maines is the one who put us together.
Okay.
Yeah. Whenever I took the job at Monterey, Steve Maines' daughter Ashley Maines was a senior that year, and he was our VP for our booster club. And we were just having conversation because at the time Sherry Haynes and Mitzi, I think her name was Mitzi Williams, were the assistants there, and they didn't know if they were going to stay or if they're going to leave. And so I had some conversation with Steve Maines, and he brought up Carol's name. And of course, when I coached at Borger, we were in Levelland's district, and so I knew Carol firsthand.
She was a good player.
Yeah, she dismantled us a few times when I was at Borger. But so I knew of her before I took the job, and then Steve kind of led me to her in terms of an assistant coaching position.
You did play for Dean Weiss.
Yes, sir.
And I played for Dean Weiss.
I thought that might have been part of the connection. I'm going to guess. I saw, was it Joe and Tate Lombard who both greeted you before the game?
It was Joe Lombard and Johnny Hampton.
Okay, I knew it was Joe, but I'm going to guess that there were some other legends up in heaven watching down. We're pretty happy. I know a radio guy in Plainview and his backdoor neighbor that coached the Lady Bulldogs for a lot of years watching down and smiling. I'm going to guess that Dean Weiss was pretty happy watching that as well. So a lot of people were rooting for Monterey, but a lot of people were rooting for Jill Schneider. I'll throw that out there. So we're coming up on a break. We'll be back after the break on the High School Fan Zone, the Plainsman Fan Zone, talking to state champion basketball coach Jill Schneider and Carol Foster, not Carol Sessions Foster, Carol Foster. I'm Randy Rosetta. This is 100.7 The Score.
Diving headfirst into Monterey athletics. You're listening to the Plainsman Fan Zone on 100.7 The Score and the 100.7 The Score mobile app.
Welcome back to the Plainsman Fan Zone on 100.7 The Score. On Monday, March 3rd, I'll throw my greetings out there again. Today is my daughter, Darby Rosetta's 17th birthday. I've only missed one of them. I want to thank you guys and the UIL for making sure that I was home this year, because when Lubbock Cooper played a few years ago, that was the one I missed. She's forgiven me, I think, but she's got big plans for me tonight. So happy birthday, Darby. I'll see you in a little bit. I mentioned that when I told you I wanted to have you bring Carol, I want to talk a lot about what you guys just accomplished, but the long process to get here. 4 years have been incredible. When you get Aaliyah Chavez, when you get Ambrosia Cole, things are going to happen. Good things are going to happen. We were just talking, though, the year before all of this started, you said 5. I think the story I looked up, I covered your playoff game against Amarillo High. I think you finished 6-18, 6-19, and you said that's as tough a season as you've had as a coach.
Because I stand there in our gym and I look up at that banner and go, I can't even believe we put a banner up there. But that team deserved that banner because we had to get an awful lot better to win 5 games over the course of that season. We managed our way into the playoffs by winning 4 district games down the stretch. So I'm just as proud of that little team as I was of any team I ever coached.
Which is what I mentioned to you. You said almost the exact same thing about a team that was 5-19 or 5 and whatever that night. And that was not you actually hung with Amarillo High for a quarter and a half, if I remember right, and that was a very good team that Jeff had. And they got you pretty good at the end, but you were just as proud, and you said very much the same things about that team as you did the team that just finished 37-5 and hoisted a trophy, Carol, as long as you've known her, the fact I just said that she's stayed that consistent with teams through the years, what's that say about her?
We've had this talk a lot over the years that, and I'm not saying anything bad about coaches that do chase the good players and the good teams. We just think kids need coaches, that want to coach them and that want to be there. And that's the longevity of us being at Monterey. We love our school. We love our school district, and our kids work hard for us, and so many times coaches look at your career as being wins and losses. And I think both of us are just on what our kids get from our program, and this is just the icing on the cake this year.
To backtrack a little bit further, you guys were 32-5 the year before. It's not like y'all had forgotten how to coach from one year to that. You just had some injuries. Some high school coaches don't have the luxury. Tony Wagner said this earlier too. You don't get to go pick up free agents and get kids to come in. You coach who wants to show up and who wants to play. That year before was one of the funnest teams I've ever covered. The team with Maddie and Kelly and
absolutely, yeah, that was a very good team. That team had a chance to make a pretty good deep run of its own. We just got tripped up against, who was it, Wichita Falls Rider?
Who I believe, did they have the young lady that's at Texas Tech now? Mm-hmm. I can't think of her name, but sometimes good players make a big impact, which takes me back to something Aaliyah said that I think ties in with you guys as well. Somebody asked her about her college choice, which I don't deal with college recruiting with my website just because that's a whole different animal. And they asked her where she, what she was looking for, and she went on and on about, I want to play for a coach who does this, this, and this. And as she was saying it, I was thinking in my head, she spent 4 years with that coach. She spent 4 years with a coach who cared about her, who nurtured her, who let her play the way she played. And I mentioned this in the column I wrote today. Aaliyah plays with swagger, and she deserves to, because she's as good as anybody I've ever seen on the basketball court at that level. When you heard her talking about that, did it strike you that you guys did a pretty good job with a great player for 4 years to help you achieve?
Aaliyah's easy.
You said that the other day,
She just
too.
is so easy to coach. She's just so upbeat, good-natured, hardworking, good teammate. Just everything about her is easy to coach. I had somebody at the state tournament say something about how difficult this year must have been, how hard it is to deal with everything. And I go, and there's nothing about coaching Aaliyah or coaching this team. Nothing's been hard. Not the recruiting, not her, nothing. It's been a joy, and I really haven't had to do much besides stand over there on the sideline and clap for him.
Well, you probably did a little bit more than that, at least in practice, we'll say that.
Because she and Bro are not players that need to be reined. They're not players that need to be kind of forced into a system or forced into a bunch of sets. We use some sets, but those guys are spontaneous players, and they're isolation guards, and, we just tried to turn them loose and let them play and do what they do best, because both of them have great instincts. They can create off the dribble, and both of them are great passers, great floor vision. So it was wisest for us, I think, to just turn them loose and let them play.
We're coming up on a break, but real quick, one word did you tell them towards the end of the state semifinal game?
It's monumental.
Here we go. We'll be back after the break on the Plainsman Fan Zone. I'm Randy Rosetta. This is 100.7 The Score.
Your inside look into Monterey sports. This is the Plainsman Fan Zone on 100.7 The Score and the 100.7 The Score mobile app.
Welcome back to the High School Fan Zone on 100.7 The Score. This is the Plainsman Fan Zone, and I'm joined by state championship coach Jill Schneider and her longtime tonto. I don't know if that's probably not allowed to say that anymore. I don't know. Her sidekick, Carol Foster, who helped Jill. First of all, Monterey, I've said this about Aaliyah and Jill, I think both of you will agree with this. Aaliyah didn't put Lubbock girls basketball and West Texas high school basketball on the map. It's been there for a long time. You two have a lot to do with that. But she sure brought a lot of attention. You waxed poetic about that the other day, about the attention that she's brought not just to this region, but to girls basketball.
Oh, no, there's no question. She's just elevated the game. She's elevated the interest in the game. And I think you saw the same thing happen with Caitlin Clark at the college level. Leah's done that in the state of Texas and really broader than that. I mean, we had people from Wisconsin that would come to watch us play in different states, just coming to watch us play, and they'd come introduce themselves and say, we came here from, wherever they were from to watch. So she has elevated our game for sure at Monterey over the last 4 years, and the expectations to where now our players, they don't remember years where we didn't have as good a team. Their expectation is that we win games, and that's a healthy thing for our program.
I will take that a step further. I think we mentioned between air, and you talked about 2 years ago your team got beat by Lubbock Cooper that went on to play in the state championship game. You guys brought the best out of Lubbock Cooper. You brought the best out of Plainview this year. Plainview girls went to the third round. I'm not sure anybody expected that, but the games they played against you, you brought the best out of them. Your team, Aaliyah's team, Ambrosia's team, you elevated other teams other than just your program.
Every game, every single game, the other team would come out and play so great. We just got to where it was a given. We just knew it was going to happen. We knew we just had to weather the storm, and that we just push on into the second, third quarter because it happened every single game regardless of the opponent. I got to say something about Carol because she just always was just such a great assistant and very thorough and did so many things behind the scenes. But and then she volunteered her time last year for us. Didn't get a penny for it. She just volunteered her time and helped us in practice and went to the games and kept stats. And then this year when she wasn't coaching, she was scouting teams for me. I don't know, she's just always been willing to help no matter which way she could. And so even though she wasn't an official assistant coach this year, she was doing official assistant coach stuff for us.
She was an official assistant for a long time. Carol, what was it like for you when Jill got there? She took over for Malin, who Malin had things going well. You guys at that time, Coronado was really, really good with another one of your friends.
Malik, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
What was it like for you those years to be next to Jill, watching her build what Monterey has become?
Well, so many people think you can't have a good career if you haven't had the head coach in front of your name. And Jill and I's philosophies were the same from day one. My children were always allowed on the sidelines. They were on the bus. Our coaching philosophies were the same. Being under Coach Weiss had some. Everything just flowed, and it's a place I never even thought about leaving. Now, I did look maybe a couple of times, and I realized, what am I doing? I love my Monterey kids. I love Jill, and it was the best place for me to ever stay in my life, and I don't feel unfulfilled in any way not being a head coach. Just not getting a state championship with her might be the only thing, and it's not jealousy. I don't know what it's happiness, but just something I might have missed out on. But we had a great time together.
There's a part of you in that net that they got to cut down, and I'm glad she said that because I'm sorry, I'm going to say the word again. Jill was a legend before the ball ever went up in the air Saturday. She didn't need to win that state championship to verify anything. But, okay, remember, no tears. That's the rule on the show. Watching her, and you talked about that last minute, as those last seconds, we had a great picture on the site. We're coming up on the end here, but what did that mean to you to see this lady get that?
Oh, my heart was full. I was a blubbering idiot at Hardin-Simmons because they actually are getting to go, And then when they got there and just, I told her this. I said, it was boring. It wasn't even, and she goes, well, it wasn't boring to me. And I went, well, I don't mean boring, but they just played so great. It was great for me to watch my best friend.
And Jill, you've got to give the abbreviated version here, but same question for you. What was it like as those seconds tipped off?
I was just so proud for my team, and I was happy for Aaliyah because it doesn't matter how good she does. There's always somebody hating and wanting to take away from her accomplishments. And so she finally got that state championship, and she didn't need it to validate her career either. But I sure am happy for her and for the rest of my team that they will have that to always remember.
I put the headline on the story. What it does is it makes the legacy complete. And now we get to move on. We'll talk to Jill pretty quickly next season, I bet, when we come back on the High School Fan Zone. Then no High School Fan Zone on Wednesday. We'll talk to you again next Monday. I'm Randy Rosetta. This is 100.7 The Score.